Hello, I'm Don Mitchell. Welcome back for another lesson in Disciple, the book that gives you 60 experiences to help you draw closer to God, experience Him more deeply, and fulfill all of His callings on your life. The callings that were created long before you were, even before the creation of the world. In today's lesson, we continue in part two, which is Live the Gospel, in which we look at following the commands of Jesus. And in doing so, we're going to look at some material in the second lesson from week 3, which is entitled Love God with All Your Soul. So let me begin with a quote, from the book of Mark, chapter 12, verses 28 through 31 in the New King James Version. Then one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, "What is the first commandment of all?" Jesus answered him, "The first commandment of all is, 'Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.'" Dot, dot, dot. This is the first commandment. And the second is like it, is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. What blessed lessons from the Lord Jesus. The most important point to appreciate about loving God with all of your soul is that doing so isn't separate from loving Him with all your heart, mind, and strength. Thus, you can think of what Jesus had to say in the whole of Mark chapter 12, verse 20, in the New King James Version, is telling you something like, quote, "Hold back nothing from your full commitment to God and His purposes," end quote. Let me add a few observations about love as expressed in these verses. In English, this feeling can be manifested in different forms and degrees, from the love of a child for a new toy to the lifelong commitment of spouses to be faithful to one another through their promises to God and one another. Jesus is talking about the kind of love that involves being willing to do what actually is, or at least seems, sacrificial at the time, even if some personal benefits are expected to be eventually received, because of a strong desire to do the best for the loved one. Some people equate soul with spirit, but some Bible scholars would disagree. Instead, think of soul in this context as meaning the intangible qualities that bring life to a human body. Perceiving this meaning may perhaps be best understood by considering that when the soul is gone, the person's body no longer holds physical life. If we take this view of what a soul is, how should this command about the soul be interpreted? In one sense, the command means committing all of the body's actions to serving God and doing His will. As you can see, this aspect of a commitment to God is much different from simply having strong feelings in favor of serving Him, as would occur with only having a heart-based commitment. With regard to the soul-based dimension of Mark 12:30, we are talking about putting a whole life into a godly harness to take action. At a deeper level, the same concept of soul can also tell us that we should think about how we can best serve God whenever we choose to direct our lives in any way. When we consider these two perspectives, all actions for His purposes and choosing to best serve God together, it becomes more obvious why this verse's command puts the heart and soul ahead of simply mentioning the mind and strength of a person. With a commitment of the heart and the actions of the entire body as represented by the soul, the person's mind and strength will undoubtedly follow, at least to some extent. The reverse order would not be equally likely to create as fruitful results. So let's now think about preparing for some questions that can help us to experience loving God with all your soul. It's obviously a big step to go from dedicating part of your life to God, such as when you only attend services on Sunday, to applying all of your life to Him. Perhaps you will find it easier to start doing so by making such commitments for shorter periods of time. As you experience the delight of doing more for God, your reactions to the experience should help you transition to loving Him with all your soul. Questions should help you make such a transition from where you are now in loving God to increasing towards a full commitment of time and actions to Him until you're fully connected in a loving relationship with Him. First, how does having received the gift of salvation affect your ability to love God with all your soul? Second, how do the good things that God has provided for you cause you to love Him in a way that commits more parts of your life to Him? Third, if you ever felt your soul to be solely directed by love of God, what might you think or do to extend this commitment into directing more aspects of your life? Fourth, are there any parts of your life that you haven't yet surrendered in love to Him? Fifth, do you pray daily for God to help direct your life so that your soul will be fully committed to acting as He wishes because of your love for Him? Sixth, if you do not so pray now, can you begin doing so? 7. How did increasing your commitment to and actions for God today change your love for Him and others? 8. How can you best maintain as much love for God as possible in your soul? So we thank you very much for listening to this, and I hope that the lesson has been a blessing. I look forward to sharing more lessons with you in the near future. Goodbye for now.